Hello, welcome to Radiant Realization with Namrata. We deep dive into captivating conversations about life. Today, I have with me Akshaya. She is going to talk about how we can blend spirituality in our day to day life and how it helps us to build a good wellness system around us. Welcome, Akshaya. I'm pleased to have you today.
Hi, Namrata. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Akshaya, spiritual wellness is a topic which is an upcoming topic. Many people are not aware about this. If you can tell me what is spiritual wellness?
Sure. Spiritual wellness is more about aligning yourself with your inner voice. Your inner voice is what connects you to your highest self. And spiritual wellness is all about connecting to that inner voice. And how you can do that is you can start creating a relationship with the divine energies instead of disconnecting yourself or distancing yourself from the divine energy, saying God is there or divine energy is there and I'm just here. You start building a relationship with the divine energies. You start to connect with the divine energies. And what it does for you is it brings you more in balance. It makes you more purposeful towards what you're doing, and it starts bringing more clarity and more joy into your life. And that's what the core of spiritual wellness is all about. And I think there's a lot of complications that people grow because of their not having much clarity about it. They throw more complications, but it's actually very simple. It's like it is more like a compass that will help you connect with yourself and also connect you with the divine.
What got you started in this coaching journey where you feel spiritual wellness is your calling?
Yeah, like you said, it was more of a calling than a decision, because my decision started to unfold when I started as a life coach. I wanted to be a life coach. I wanted to help people to navigate with your emotions, and that's where I started. And as I went about that journey, I was there in the life coaching uh, zone for about 1.5, 2 years. And then what happened was I started working with my intuition. So just a quick backstory. I have been a very intuitive person since I was a child. I just didn't know that. I thought I was different. I thought I was weird. There were all sorts of labels and names that were given to me by myself, by my friends, family, everyone. But the core is that I was being an intuitive person even as a child. And one random conversation with a friend led me to actually start connecting back to my intuition. And when I started connecting back to my intuition, I understood that there is a way that I can blend that with my coaching. It doesn't have to be just the regular coaching module. It can be very different and very unique, which can come from my intuition also. So when I started working on it, I started to understand how much more is there for me to give to my clients, to give to my audience. And I was in that zone also. I was there for like 1 year. I was like, okay, I'll just call myself an intuitive transformational coach. And I was happy being there. But then something shifted, something happened, which came to me in my intuition. It came to in my meditation. My intuitive mentor, she started getting these nuggets, these pieces that I'm supposed to step into the role of a spiritual completely more spiritual entrepreneur rather than just holding on to whatever my zone was. So it was definitely more of a calling than a conscious decision. And sometimes I just feel that whenever I connect with my guides are basically deities or the divine energies. So whenever I connect with them in my meditation, I say, you guys are running my business so creatively that I don't know what my next level is going to be. Next month, I might call myself something else altogether. It's just too much. But the fact that it connects me with myself more deeply, and it also helps me connect with my clients more deeply, because I know I have so much more to offer. And by connecting with my intuition, by connecting with my intuitive gifts, it helps me to help my clients get a deeper transformation. I am able to help them much better when I can give them the clarity, the roadmap to connect with themselves on a deeper level. That's how this came into play.
Amazing. Actually, if somebody wants to start on their spiritual wellness journey today, what steps would you recommend them? How can they start?
Okay. I have two depths of answer that I can think of. The first one is slightly slightly theoretical in a manner that this can be a very personal journey. uh, it is a spiritual journey, spiritual awakening, whatever the name that you want to call, is a very personal journey, and it takes different measures for different people to get there. For me, it started with just identifying that I am intuitive. And the fact that I was spiritually rooted since my childhood gave me the footing, gave me the what do you say? Gave me the base for me to identify that, okay, this is the perspective of your question by giving some practical answers. The first thing someone can do is actually identify what spirituality means to them, identify what this journey means to them, and actually reflect on where do I want to take my journey towards, or how do I want to take spirituality in my life, which is going to help me in my future. So this reflection and this identification is that can be the first step, so that they have the clarity to understand where am I going with this. Think of spirituality as a car. It is there, the car is there, but the car will only go somewhere where you drive it to. So the first step could be identification, and there are very easy practices, easy grounding practices. Like, it could be as simple as journaling every single day, just journaling their thoughts, journaling what comes through. And that is one thing. The second thing is doing meditation. Not saying that they should sit for like 1 2 hours, even I don't sit for an hour, but just keeping a timer for 5 minutes and just closing their eyes, connecting with their breathing, connecting to whatever energies that they can connect to, and just sitting in that stillness, sitting in that silence. I think those can be the first steps that someone can take in this journey.
Yeah, when we talk about spirituality, you said about few minutes of meditation or journaling. But sometimes the day-to-day life becomes so overwhelming that it becomes really difficult to identify where can I fix those 5 minutes. We might have a lot of time. We might be even not very observant about how we go through our day. But how do we balance our day-to-day demands of life with our desire to pursue this spiritual journey?
One thing that people think is that they need to have like an isolated space, then they need to detach themselves from the rest of the family, rest of the world, for them to get into a spiritual zone. But that's not how it is. When someone makes their morning coffee, they can induce spirituality into it. It is as simple as that. While someone is making their coffee or their morning drink, what they can do is they can just close their eyes for just a minute and set the intention that may all divine energies pour into this coffee, pour into this drink to energize me. By that, what happens is the coffee doesn't just energize your mind and body. The intention that you set while drinking the coffee also energizes your soul. And that is as simple. It doesn't have to, there doesn't have to be much of an imbalance for them to find balance, because it is very simple. It is in the smaller activities where spirituality actually lies, instead of the bigger activities of, okay, I am going to do this 21 days challenge. Those are all great for you to, when you want to build a habit. But when you want to connect, when you want to actually truly connect to what it is that you really want, even in the smallest of the things, you can blend spirituality. But the point where it gets to balancing life with this is that, to understand that both your life and your spiritual journey can complement each other. You don't have to lose out on one thing to be with the other. It can blend very well with each other, and just finding the time out. Like you said, sometimes we don't know how the day goes, sometimes we don't know how did it come to evening already, I just woke up. It is quite natural for anyone to get consumed by time, get carried away by time. But just there's one thing that I do, which is I set an alarm at 11 o'clock in my mobile, which says connect with nature. The alarm is not just the clock alarm, it is there in my calendar. My calendar for every day is blocked at 11 a.m. because that is how we get. For us, everything is about scheduling, about organizing, and there's nothing wrong if we also schedule time for spirituality. People get it wrong when they think it should come naturally. It will come naturally when you are into it for longer time. But for you to start building that habit, like any other habit, you'll need to put it in your calendar, you'll need to put it in your alarm, so that when you start building on it, and then after a while, it becomes like your second nature.
I really like this because most of the time I've heard from my grandparents and all that spirituality has to come naturally to you. You cannot force yourself. I used to struggle. There's so much work to do. I don't have even 10 minutes. The way you explained it, Akshaya, it makes it so easy and simple to incorporate spirituality.
No, because when someone says it needs to come naturally and you can't force it, what happens is even if someone is interested, even if someone wants to try out their path in spirituality, the moment they hear, okay, it has to come naturally, they wait. They just sit back and wait, thinking that something is going to come inside their head and say, okay, now your path has come. No, you will have to find your path. You will have to make your path, and it is very different for every single person. Their journey, their starting point, and everything is different. And I think the it is misinterpreted that it needs to come naturally.
This is one of the misconception about spirituality, is what I would say. Have you come across any additional misconception while you're dealing with your clients and you feel, oh, why are these people thinking this way? It's not what the spiritual journey is.
I can even sit with you for 1 hour just talking about the misconceptions that I have to deal with. Not just with my clients, but also with people around me, my family and everyone. They have gotten some very basic things misunderstood, is what I think. Or I think I am a little too rebel. I'm a little too different with my approach in spirituality. It should be either one of that. But the common misconception that I see with at least my family members is when we get into the path of spirituality, it means that we can't have fun anymore. I don't know how and why they made up that statement. It's nothing like that. God or the divine energies, whatever that you are connected with, it is that divine energy is the embodiment of love, of joy, of compassion. And when you are connecting with those energies don't say, okay, you'll have to sit and starve, or you'll have to cut down on your fun, you should not meet your friends or something. I don't see how that is. So that is one misconception. Of course, your idea of fun becomes different. It becomes more grounded and you become more joyful, which is more of a stabilized version of fun. But there is a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, a lot of light-hearted things that happens in your spiritual journey. And it is just not all about being serious. I'll tell you how. I have recently launched a program called Krishna Energy Unfolding, where I take my clients on a journey where they can connect with the consciousness of Krishna as an energy. More than seeing him as a deity, more than seeing him as a god, how can we imbibe his energies into our daily lives? And there are so many facets to who Krishna is as an energy. So what happened is when I was discussing this topic with my coach, I have this very brotherly relationship with Krishna. I've been tying Rakhi for him for as long as I know. So what happened is when I started talking about this to my coach in a session, suddenly my papers started like flying. There was things falling apart. My Canva was just flipping everywhere. And for the initial times, I thought, okay, there's some glitch. But then I understood that it was his energy that was present, which started to flip things around and made it chaotic, made it playful. And I had to actually mute myself on the call and say, can you not? This is about you that I'm talking about something that I want to do with you. Can you be a little more patient and not do this? And the funny thing is, when I did a Janmashtami meditation program, a free event, and the participants who came there after the meditation, one of them sent me a message saying, I was watching a Netflix movie and suddenly the screen started glitching. I just couldn't know what happened. It has never happened to me. I switched it off, I turned it on, and still it was glitching. And then I understood that how Krishna used to play with your Canva. I thought he was playing with my TV. So I had to tell him that I had a very rough day. Can I please watch the movie? And then I was able to watch the movie.
You are telling how to communicate with divine energy.
Yes.
And
It is
it's
so fun. It is actually so much fun. For someone who's hearing it for the first time, may think it is just coincidence. But the better word in spirituality is synchronicity, because coincidence, I think I heard somewhere, the universe is so lazy to give you coincidence. Something is actually happening in some other reality, which is just reflecting on our reality. So there's so much fun, there's so much of joy, there's so much of playfulness that comes with you when you are on your spiritual journey. Your inner child, or the concept of your inner child, just becomes so light. Your aura becomes so light, and that is the fun element of being in spirituality. And I think that is the most um misunderstood misconception that I always come across when I talk about spiritual journeys.
amazing. Another point that really excites me, and I would like to know your views on this, that when we talk about spirituality, usually people tend to disconnect that with the materialistic world. Today, when we live in materialistic world, we desire so many things, right? We desire new outfit, we desire new makeup, and many things. So, really want to have your perspective. How is spirituality and materialistic world connected, and how can we blend both of them?
Again, it comes from the misconception that there needs to be a lot of detachment from what we are doing. But I think the detachment is only for the ego part of who we are. And when I say ego, I don't talk about it from the behavioral point of view, but more from I want to have this, I want to do this. That I concept is what I identify as ego. And you know, people say detachment is good for spirituality, just for us to detach from that thing, that that I need to do this. What happens when you blend spirituality and your materialistic world is that somewhere there's some sort of contentment, Namrata. I don't know how it happens or why it happens, but the minute you include spirituality into like your everyday materialistic life, somewhere I think the sales don't catch your eye a lot. When there's offer running or sale running, somewhere there's this inner satisfaction, in inner contentment that says, okay, I think I have enough lipsticks for me to go and buy one more. Should I really buy one more? So those sort of reflections come to surface. I think that's the beauty when you blend spirituality with the materialistic world. And I won't say desires are wrong. I won't say that wanting things are wrong, because the world revolves around having desire. I think I heard somewhere not wanting to have any desires is also a desire. It doesn't have to be that, okay, I'm going to stay still and not think of anything. We are all spirits, but we are living in the human plane. We are living in the earth plane, and we can't detach ourselves completely from the human plane. We can't detach ourselves from the human experiences that we want to have. It is so unrealistic and a lot of pressure on our soul to say you can only have soulful experiences. You can't have human experience. For that, we'll have to be in the soul plane without the body, without the house, without the family. We're all given that. We need to find a way to make time for it, and that doesn't make you less spiritual. Just because I go out and have fun with my friends, or I watch a movie or something, doesn't make me less spiritual. But am I able to give it equal prominence by actually taking time out to do, okay, this is something. For example, Wednesdays are my like very light-hearted, very light days. Wednesday is my day of birth. I was born on a Wednesday, so I take Wednesdays very lightly. I do a lot more of spiritual grounding, a lot more of spiritual practices that day. That doesn't mean I don't do it for the rest of the week. But Wednesday, I keep my work light. I keep my other commitments light. And I focus on myself. I focus on connecting with the divine a little bit more. So I think it's more about trying to balance both in a beautiful dance instead of saying, okay, I am either spiritual or materialistic. I don't think that's how it works.
Correct. Yeah. Actually, what I learned from this conversation is the insight that you get that, okay, what I have is enough. I think that is the level of contentment that
Yeah.
most of the people are aspiring for. Okay. And usually, spirituality is connected to some religion or religious belief. So, is it necessary to have a religious belief to pursue a spiritual path, or we can go ahead on this path with divine energy?
I find this question very interesting because I again have like, I don't know why these days, whenever there's a question, I get two types of answers to it. I'm going to go ahead and give you both. I'll try to keep it short. So, what I would say is it is like, think of spirituality as a cuisine that you want to try. Food, a kind of food. So let's say you are someone with a sweet tooth and you want to go and explore all the desserts that are there in your city, or when you go to different city, you want to explore those desserts. Where do you normally start? Anyone who's a foodie will normally start with whatever is comforting to them. So your religion or your belief systems can be that comforting food, that homemade, that comfort food that we go to, and that can be a starting point. So, for us to be more spiritual, you don't have to box yourself saying that only if you follow this belief or only if you follow this religion can you be more spiritual. Spiritual energies or divine energies, like I said, is in the form of energies. It is in the cosmos. For our convenience is why we are following a particular thing, but there can be a lot of depth in that also. Not all people who find themselves religious are necessarily spiritual. I had this discussion with one of my clients who said, my father wakes up and he does a, a lot of rituals, this and that, but when I talk to him about certain things, he's so closed off. That person's father could be religious and ritualistic, not necessarily spiritual. I remember this one meditation that I was a part of. I was a part of a group meditation. And in that meditation, it was a guided meditation where they had spoken about Ma Green Tara. And she was the guiding energy of the meditation. And I went for the meditation. I didn't know who she was. She's not one of my uh, you know, one of the deities that I worship to. So I didn't know who she was. But the meditation was so profound, it was so grounding, so transformative that the effect of the meditation stayed with me for 2 days. Something happened in that meditation that stayed with me for 2 days, and some major shifts happened. Now, in this case, what is that Matara energy? She is not my regular Hanumanji or Ganeshi that I pray to or I go to. But she was there, her energy was there, and she did not say, okay, this person doesn't know who I am. This person doesn't worship me or doesn't communicate with me. That is not the communication that happens. The deities or the energies see you as very deserving soul, very deserving being of love, and they come to you no matter what your standpoint is. And it so happened that I connected with the person who did the meditation. I got some chanting, some music of Matara, and then when my husband went to Ladakh, I asked him to buy me a vigraham of like an idol of Matara, and she's sitting right here in my desk here. And it takes a particular gateway for the energies to come to you, and that gateway can very well be your religion. You don't have to say, I'm going to go religion neutral. That can be a goal, but the start point can be where you are born at, where your natural practices are. You can first ground yourself in that. You can find more depth in the practices that you do. For example, I make it a practice to play a lullaby for Krishna every single night before I go to bed. And this is something that I do out of love. This is not a ritual. This is not said in the books, or this is not followed by anyone in my family. Let's just put it that way. No one in my family actually plays a lullaby or sings a lullaby. But for me, he's my divine sibling. He is my brother, kind of a thing, and I want to do that for him. So inside the belief system that you follow, inside the religion that you are, find ways that you can connect with the energies rather than just saying, okay, I was asked to do this versus what do you want to do? And when you go more into what do I want to do, that will lead you to more and more layers of, uh, you know, exploration coming through. And if there's someone out there who doesn't believe in a particular religion, or they don't believe in certain beliefs or practices, the universe is still waiting. You can still connect with the energies. Call it whatever name that you want, as long as you believe that there's some energy, there's some higher power which is guiding me, and I'm going to connect with it the way I see fit. I think that's all that matters.
Akshaya, whenever we talk about spirituality or religion, it starts with prayers, it starts with rituals, meditation. So, what is the role of all of this thing, like role of prayer, meditation, or daily ritual in spiritual journey?
I think this question also ties back to how do we balance spirituality and materialistic life demands. So I think that there's a lot of, again, misconception about prayers, and people think praying is not fancy, it is not my cup of tea or something. But actually prayer holds so much power, it holds so much of energy, it holds so much of your intention inside that prayer. And how you do that is up to you, as long as there is the intention to communicate with the divine. So I see prayer as the conversation, like how I am conversing with you right now. My mode of prayer is exactly like this. I sit in front of my altar, I sit in front of my deities, and I just talk to them. Of course, I do know a lot of shlokas, mantras. I love chanting them. I love doing it. But more than that, I love actually sitting and having a conversation with them. I sit with my coffee cup, my tea cup. I don't drink coffee. I sit with my tea mug and I just have a conversation with them, saying what this happened, that happened, this happened. And I've been this since I was a child. It did not change just because I'm on a spiritual path or I'm a spiritual entrepreneur. This did not change. But I think prayer actually brings you back to the center. That life happens, emotions happen, and all of those things happen. And prayer grounds you, it centers you back to what really matters. And it also has a lot of healing power in a manner where you don't feel lonely. Even when life happens, when you have your prayer going on, when you have your meditation, I would still say is slightly different from what prayer is. Meditation still connects you with the divine, but it sort of calms your mind. When there's so much thoughts, like 1,000 different thoughts going on, meditation puts you in that zone of minimum to no thoughts, while prayer can actually be more of release. You are actually telling the source, you're actually telling the divine energies that, what, boss, I can't take it anymore, please do something. So that is the conversation you try to have, but in a more centered, in a more intention grounded thing, where that you are just not talking. Prayer is never a one-way street. It is always a two-way street, but if you can listen closely, you will know that it is being heard, it is being answered. And I think it's a beautiful practice that people can start, again, in smaller ways, in their own ways. But it also teaches a lot of surrender, that you don't have to go through your struggles by your own. You don't have to face all that just by being your own. Prayer teaches you how to surrender all of that and beyond, and yourself, to the divine, and let them take care, because sometimes it's just better that they handle things rather than us trying to handle things.
And with the divine energy around us, it feels so comforting, right? That the problems will get solved. We can move forward on our journey. Okay. Akshaya, how does nature, like walking nature or being around nature, contribute or enhances our spiritual wellness?
Nature is the first teacher or the first place that someone can start. You had asked me a question a while back. What are some if someone is starting on their journey, what can they do?
Correct.
Nature is their best answer. And it can be, nature has so many different elements, just like how spirituality also has. For some people, sun makes them happy. I, for one, love rain. I love thunder. I love lightning. I've been called weird for that. But the sound of thunder actually calms me down. It makes me so calm. It makes me more centered that even on a bright, hot, sunny day, I take up my phone, I play thunder music for 30 minutes, and I can sit and work in that sound. I can sleep when that sound is playing. So nature gives you a lot of, it gives you a platter, various different things that you can pick from. And all you have to do is just choose one. It can be as simple as walking on the grass, walking barefoot on earth. Mother Earth's energy can be felt when you walk barefoot. And I think, Namrata, all of those things start with the intention that I want to connect more with the divine energies. I want to connect more to nature. I want to connect more. So again, setting the intention before you do any of these practices has a much more greater impact to the outcome, rather than just trying, okay, I'm going to try an experiment. You will still feel it. You will still feel that nature is embracing you. You will still feel that divine energies are hugging you. But setting that intention brings more clarity. And it can be as simple as just sitting and watching the rain. Very, very simple, very mundane activity, but there can be a lot of spirituality infused in that. You will start to feel like, okay, rain cools the earth. Okay, maybe it will cool my thoughts. Rain, provides more water. Okay, how can, so you can always draw parallels to yourself from the nature if you have the eye for it, is what I think.
What I have experienced in our day-to-day life, sometimes with festivals around and all, we tend to get spiritual, we imbibe those practices. But again, when we face those challenging times, like tough bosses or tough relatives, difficult conversation with friends, it becomes difficult to have those high spiritual energy with us. So how do we balance our spiritual desire and pursue our spiritual journey, at the same time manage those challenging situations which are standing right in face of our day-to-day life?
Okay. I'm going to answer this from a typical life coach point of view. Like, what is the one thing that we have been doing as a life coach? When we say visualization, it is not just those 5-10 minutes of us taking time to visualize internally. What are the other things that we do to visualize externally? We put out a vision board, which is right there staring at our face, so that we know anytime we look at the vision board, we know what our goals are, we know what is that we want to do. Likewise, just setting up your spiritual energies or your divine energies all over your house in places where you can see actually can bring you back to your center when there's a challenging situation, or when there's stress, or when you're faced with a difficult situation. Just either you can have like a separate corner in your house, like a puja room or something, where you can go to during your challenging moments and say, okay, I'm here, I want to be centered. And I know it is difficult to walk yourself to the puja room when there's a challenging situation. So for me, it is my wallpaper. My wallpaper has my deities. My laptop wallpaper has my deities. I have the pictures of all my deities, all the energies that I worship to, all over the house. My mom has made fun of it, saying even in your kitchen, even in your room, even in the hall, every single where that I turn, there's some sort of a divine element which is there, which grounds me. And all I have to do is just look for it. There's this in psychology, in therapy, there's this thing called anxiety toolkit, which contains of, I think, 2 or 3 things that you can see. Basically, bringing comforting elements to all of your 5 senses, so that you calm down from the challenges. So likewise, I do have a spiritual toolkit of sorts, which is first of all my wallpaper, and then I have so many pictures hanging around the house. So that is for my eyes, for my vision. I do have a playlist which I play whenever there's like too much panic, too much anxiety going on, I have a set of playlists, chantings, mantras, even songs, which they just calm me down. That is for the audio, that is for the ear. And I do have these wall hangings kind of a thing made of cloth and which has deities on it, which can be touched. I do have small idols of deities, which is in my study table, which I can touch. I know that they are here. So that is for my touch. So these like that, you can, again, it can be personalized, but just for you to know that, okay, they are here. I'm here with them. I'm not alone. It's okay. It's okay, things are happening, but it is like going and hugging your mom, like when you are feeling stressed. When we were having troubles in school, we used to come home and go hug our mom or dad or grandma. Like that, I think that is where it gets to, when you actually start building a connection in your spiritual journey, rather than just seeing the deities as deities. They are here, I'm here. But when you start building a connection, and you can just go hug them and say, I can't. Can I just be here for some time? I think that helps you manage the difficult situations in a much smoother way.
Hmm. When we are on our spiritual journey, how does intuition guide us? Or how do we tap into our intuition at the same time while we are on our journey to connect with God?
I think intuition and spirituality are like twins. You can't find one without the other. And if you're already having one, it is only about time that you get to the other. And intuition is, there's so many layers to it, but I'm going to find the more simplistic answer. It is just the inner voice, Namrata. The inner voice that guides you, that you sometimes you just know things. You don't know how. Let's say someone is coming home and you can just sense that, okay, I don't think I have to engage so much. Could be that. Or you go to a place, but you're not very sure. Something internally is stopping you. And that internal voice is your intuition. And just by listening to that voice is how we can make out that, okay, fine, maybe I should not. And this actually helps a lot with your spiritual journey, because when you start connecting with the divine energies, when you start connecting with the spiritual energies, it sort of sharpens your intuition a little more. It makes it more stronger. The voice becomes more stronger, because with the help of meditation, prayers, and your time, your dedicated time with spirituality, you are that is like feeding the intuition. That gets stronger. And when that gets stronger, I think managing everyday day-to-day life also becomes easier. So intuition, or working on your intuition, tapping on your intuition, is a very solid way that someone can go on with their spiritual journey.
During the day, we get a lot of intuitive thoughts, right, Akshaya? But sometimes we tap into those thoughts, sometimes we ignore. And when we ignore, those thoughts keeps on coming back to us. So what are the signs that we should look for that will tell us that we are not ignoring our intuitive thoughts?
Okay, science. Okay. Uh, it is as simple as not being centered or not being connected to what we do. So when you are upset, what are the signs that show up? You can't focus. You can't when someone is talking to you, you just zone out. When you have to play a song that you like, it just looks like noise and not music. So these are the things that we connect with when we say that I'm upset, or I don't know, I'm not okay. But that you being not okay is that you're not listening to your intuition. It is trying to tell you something. Intuition, like I said, is a voice, is your inner voice. Voice is again made of sound. You are so focused on listening to the sound and the voice that is coming from outside, from people around you, that there's already so much noise in your head, that when your inner voice, when your intuition is trying to tell something, it's not able to reach you because of all the noise that is covering your head. So you will need to find a balance to calm down, first of all. And for a particular situation, people take intuition situation wise. So let's just say someone is faced with a difficult situation and there's so much of unsolicited advice coming towards them. they'll need to find a way to silence that so that this inner voice can be heard loudly. And the more someone keeps listening to their intuition more and more, is how it gets its voice to be heard louder. How did we, get to speak? We spoke more. As a child, when we started speaking, we were asked to speak more. And that's how we found our chord. That's how we found our noise, our sound. So your intuition needs to know that you are listening to it more and more so that the louder it will start to speak. And that will help you silence the outer voice, the outer noise very easily, quite effortlessly. And you will know this is the outside opinion. This is what my intuition says. Maybe I'm just going to listen to my intuition. And it comes only from practice.
What practices we can incorporate in our life so we build a deeper connection with our intuition?
The first practice, the very, very important practice, in my opinion, is sitting in silence, because your intuition doesn't show up unless there's absolute silence going on in your external environment, as well as your thoughts. You need to silent down, you need to quiet down those thoughts for your intuition to actually show up. So the very first practice is to maintain silence. Again, it can be done as a small activity. You can just put an alarm, put it in a calendar saying 5 minutes of conscious silence or 10 minutes of conscious silence. And all you have to do is sit in that silence and just allow your intuition to flow. Or you can just do it like how we play with children. You can just give it a situation and say, what do you think of this? And what do you think of this? What do you think of this? So in that silence also, you can communicate with your intuitive voice, and you can try to see what comes up. That is one thing. Second thing is, you have to listen more to yourself and to others. You speak less and you listen more. And when you do that, you are able to actually listen to the intuitive voice, the intuitive information, the downloads that you get. And then you start to work on it. I mean, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and let my intuition flow as it wants, and I will listen when I want to. It doesn't work like that. There needs to be a lot of commitment. I know it's a strong word, but for your inner voice to actually surface, you'll need that commitment to actually listen to it, and it will show up. It will not fail you.
Actually, today in our world, we are so much into logical mind that intuition sometimes is suppressed because they don't align with logic. So how do we balance both of this logical mind and intuitive mind?
Like you said, it's about balancing. We should find space to listen to both of it whenever it is necessary. There are times when only the logical answer would make sense. For example, uh, let's just say we want to drink hot water, and the kettle is just we just turned off the kettle. Should I go touch the kettle? We can't make a debate there saying, okay, intuitively what I want to do. The logical answer is, if you touch it, you get your fingers burnt. So there are places where the logical way is the way to go, and there are places when the intuitive way is the way to go. One thing we need to understand when it comes to listening to our intuitive voices, it may not be always what our logical mind would tell it. For example, let me give you the backstory of my coaching business itself. All these while, I started with the logical place, which was to finish my life coaching training and certification. Started out as a life coach. I was happy where I was, and I was building on whatever that I logically wanted to do. I wanted to work with people's emotions, so I got trained in that. I wanted to, establish myself as a one-to-one person because I love working in one-to-one. I went on and got trained in that. So these were my logical things. And suddenly one day my intuition wakes up and says, no, close all of it. I'm going to tell you what to do. And that intuition had teamed up with my spiritual, my guides and my deities, and it took over one day. And like you mentioned, I was thrown off the game. I was not expecting these things to come. And when I started working closely with my intuition, when I started working closely on where this is taking me, I used to go to my mentor with the most naive questions. For example, one of the questions I asked her was, there's one of grounding and protective meditation that I do every single day before I start my work. Because when I work closely with my intuition and my intuitive gifts. So my energies are more open and receptive to the universal energies, which also has the light and shadow. So there is this protective meditation that my mentor taught me. And in that protective meditation, one of the steps is to invoke an archangel and request for his presence and protection. So when she taught me this meditation, I know intuitively how beneficial it is. But my logical brain started ticking. It said, I went and asked her, I literally asked her this question that from the belief that I come in, from the faith that I come in, I don't communicate with angels. I don't have angels in my energetic deities, and I don't know if I call, will the angel come? Won't the angel know that I'm coming from a different ethnicity, from a different background? Will the angel actually come? I can't believe I asked her such a naive question, but she was so kind to even answer that. She said, angels are beings of light, and they will also see you as beings of light. They will not know which country, which city, what background. They will not know any of that. They will not see any of that. They will also see you as a being of light because they are also a being of light. And then I was like, okay, fine. One thing that she told me was stop trying to, I mean, we don't analyze our logical thinking from the intuitive point of view. It is when the kettle is hot, when we don't go touch it, we don't say, okay, intuitively, what will I do? Maybe should I do? We don't bring intuition into logical thinking. Likewise, when you are listening to your intuition, don't bring your logical thinking there. Just trust it, have faith in it, because your intuition again is like the seed of your spirituality. It has the capacity to hold a lot of spiritual energies. So when your intuition is talking, consider it, respect it as equal as God Himself is talking from you. Will you go and make logical debates with the divine energies? Let's say one day we hear this beautiful voice from the divine energies that, dear child, what you should do this. Will we go and debate saying what? But no, tomorrow I have this meeting, that meeting. No, we will listen to it because we respect it. Your intuition also needs to be seen and respected as it is a form of a spiritual energy. And then the connection builds, and then the communication builds, and then the voice becomes more. But I don't mean to say that you should shut down your logical mind completely, because that is not necessary. You need your logical brain to keep you going, and you need your intuition voice also to keep you going. It's about finding the situation to know which one should you listen to more.
In our life, we are usually discovering ourselves. We are bringing in more awareness into our life. So, how does intuition help us in our journey towards self-discovery or healing the parts of our lives that has some trauma attached to it? What role would intuition play in this?
Okay, think of intuition uh, as this part of you which knows that you've gone through difficulties, knows that you have been through very difficult times, but it is that part of you which is unaffected. Like how when it rains, it doesn't rain uniformly all over the city. From one place of the city, they say, oh my God, there's so much water. The other place, like, it's so hot. What do you mean water? So even rain doesn't, sometimes it's not as uniform. Likewise, your intuitive part, that intuitive self of yours is where the effect of the trauma or effect of the difficulty cannot reach. So it holds a lot of power, it holds a lot of potential in a manner where it can give you access to, like you said, a lot of awareness. So when you tap into your intuition, when you connect with your intuition, you tend to unravel those parts of you which is yourself without without being consumed by the trauma, without being consumed by the difficult situations. Let's say someone in my friends group sometime hurt me in the past, in the school time. I sit and talk about it even today. Let's say I complain even today. your intuitive part doesn't get affected by that segment. So when you just sit with your intuition and say, what, I think I'm done with this hurt, I think I want to get past it, I want to move past it, intuitively you will find the answer to what you want to hear. It's okay, they didn't know better, it's fine, you can do better. So your intuitive voice just doesn't act as a guidance, it doesn't just act as a compass, it doesn't act as a fuel to your spiritual journey. That alone it doesn't do. Your intuitive voice becomes your mentor in some state, because that is the part which is, like I said, is the seed of the spiritual energies itself. And the voice can give you so much clarity even in the smallest things. For example, when someone is hurting you, when someone is telling nasty things at you, you intend to keep calm, you don't intend to react, you be like, okay, fine, maybe he has a bad day, maybe they're going through something. When you decide that, it is your intuitive self, your intuitive voice that decides and lets that it's okay, just calm down. You can go, we all can go, we can give it back as much as they are giving it to us. But the choice that you're making by saying, it's okay, for today, I'm going to calm down, I'm not going to react. That is your intuition actually telling you that, what, it's okay. This is not about you. But when it is about you, when actually people are saying something meaning to hurt you, that time your intuition will keep quiet. It will not show up, because it knows that you need to stand up for yourself, and being calm or trying to be composed is not the way to go. So just working with your emotions at in the same way how you'll work with your intuition is what will give you the identification to know what parts of me needs healing, who am I in the truest self. The answer to that lies within your intuitive capacities, is what I think.
Hey, Sakshaya, amazing conversation, amazing discussion. You you cleared so many thoughts in my mind related to spirituality, related to religious belief, intuition. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your views. I thoroughly enjoyed this discussion.
Thank you so much, Namrata. I absolutely loved the questions. I love talking about these topics. Like, you wake me in the middle of the night, I'll still, try to find something. So I'm so glad I got to speak about it. Uh, Thank you for giving me the space and the platform for doing it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.